Hello from Delmarva. Welcome back to Shorebilly Farmer. The weather rained us out. We had rain. I was going to plant today after work, but we had almost 2/10 of an inch of rain, which for anything else it wouldn't be a problem, but for the planter we can't run after it rains, because what happens is dirt sticks to these gauge wheels, and these gauge wheels determine the depth of the seed, and if they keep filling up with dirt, what happens is the wheel gets larger and larger in circumference and will bring the seed higher and higher out of the ground. So we don't want that. It's best just to leave this thing sit here until we can run. The sun comes out, and that's the other thing, it's been cloudy all day. It's just now starting to clear off. Actually, you can see the line right there. Well, it's there. There's the line. So the sun is going to come out, but rather than waiting and trying to rush before dark, I'm just going to take the big blue and the discs and go down and start just doing a first pass on some soybean ground and starting to get it ready. Plus, I want to test this tractor out. As you know, we had the issue with it. They had the technician here earlier today. They reset the computer. We had an issue with the tractor that is taken care of. It was with the government stuff on the tractor. If you know, you know. So the issue we had with this tractor was the DEF system. For those of you that don't know, diesel engines now, under a government mandate, have to run this chemical, which is basically fertilizer. It's urea, and it gets injected into the exhaust stream and burned off. It's supposed to bond with the exhaust and make it more environmentally friendly by a process called catalyst reduction and creating something known as NOx. So I understand that things break. It's heavy equipment, things break all the time. My issue with this is that they have created many problems in the attempt to solve one. So let's go through some of those problems that they created with these emission systems. For one is expense. It is extremely expensive, especially on a vehicle that has the DPF filter, an EGR valve, and the DEF fluid. Those are three systems that are very costly. Just the DPF filter alone, which is a diesel particulate filter, they can cost upwards of $10,000, $12,000, and they have to be replaced. You can clean them once, I believe, in some cases, but 9 times out of 10, they have to be replaced, and there really is no aftermarket because these companies hold the patents on it, and they have to use the OEM parts. So, for one, issue number one is that they're extremely expensive to maintain. Issue number two, they waste fuel. These systems waste an abundance of fuel to try and accomplish burning less fuel. It makes no sense to me, or burning cleaner fuel even. So with a DPF system, they have to go through a regeneration. Regeneration is where diesel engines will dump raw diesel fuel. They inject it right into the exhaust ahead of the DPF filter. That filter burns at 1800 degrees. Well, when you're regenning, you are using 3 times the amount of fuel that the engine is consuming. It's ridiculous the amount of fuel that's used. So I don't see how they can call it environmentally friendly when they want us to stop using fossil fuels, but at the same time demand that we triple the amount of fossil fuel that we are using. And this isn't all diesel engines. This isn't just tractors. This is also pickup trucks, tractor trailers, anything I think with a 30 horsepower and above diesel engine in it is got to have this stuff on it now. Problem number 3 with this stuff, it's extremely dangerous. There have been thousands of equipment fires. I would venture to say tens of thousands of equipment fires because of these systems, because the exhaust gets so hot. I mean, it actually glows at night. You can see the DPF filters on diesel equipment glowing. It's that hot. Well, that's all well and dandy. Maybe on a tractor trailer, it's running up and down the road, has lots of airflow to it, and it's over top of concrete. It's not over anything that's really combustible. Although tractor trailers burn down all the time because a wire will chafe and fall down on the exhaust and catch fire, or a piece of debris gets stuck up under the truck. But imagine what that does, that 1800 degrees does on a combine with really dusty conditions, with all the corn chaff and wheat straw and I mean, dust is extremely combustible. So all of these issues are being created in the attempt to solve one. Now, I'm not against emission stuff, you know, to say I'm just against the government. But what I'm against is the fact that the government did this, they mandated this, and they did so in a fashion that was basically, well, forget the consumer. You know, who cares about the consumer? Who cares about the liabilities? Who cares about the lives lost because of these dangerous issues? The problem with it is these companies like New Holland are doing the best they can with the federal mandates that they have to follow. But at the end of the day, there's only a certain way to do this without being extremely, extremely expensive, which I think they already are. If you were to strip all of the emission stuff off of these vehicles, they would cost probably 10 to 15% less off the lot. The government has choked off diesel engines so much and made it so inefficient that it doesn't make sense to own one anymore. So that's my rant about, like, the issue we had with this tractor was with the government mandated DEF system. And another thing about that DEF, if you spring a leak somewhere, you better find a hose quick, because that urea is extremely corrosive, more so than nitrogen that we've talked about in the past, the nitrogen that we use fertilize with. You know, when it spills on something, it crystallizes immediately and it begins to catalyze almost immediately with the metal, and it'll strip paint right off. I mean, it's some nasty stuff. So anyway, it's fixed, we're up and running, but very, very expensive. So we've been disking quite a bit. I've got 20 acres over there done there or so, and moved back into this field. I had to get out, stretch my legs, use the little girl's room. But I wanted to take a moment and show you the job these things are doing. And I've been playing around with the settings, playing around with how fast I'm running them, the tilt back and forth, just playing around with everything. And I think I've got them really doing quite a good job. One thing I do like is they leave the ground really soft. You can see, I mean, that's a beautiful seed bed. Nice and soft. It's burying a good amount of residue, chopping up residue, which is good for organic matter for the soil. But you can see, I mean, we disted this back in the fall after we took corn off of it. And you can see this is hard. Ugh. And I got to work to get down in it. It's hard stuff. Then you come right here, and I can go down it easily to the depth of the discs, which is about we've got them set 4 to 5 inches. And I mean, they're pulling easy. Of course, we know why it's pulling easy now, but yeah, they're pulling good. They got their quirks about them as far as the main lift wheels wanting to dig into soft dirt, but it is doing a nice job. It's leveling the field good. It's nice and level. So one thing I wanted to show you is the corn rows are going this way, and you see we're disking at an angle. You know, we're disking it this way, but our corn rows were planted this way. And the reason we do that is, you know, no disc is perfect. They're always going to swale a little bit or hump a little bit. And you're always, if you come into the same field and you're always using the same implement, you're always running the tractor up and down the same path over and over and over again. Well, that creates a compaction layer deep down. You're 12 inches down, where these can't reach. And that's what we have the ripper for. But when we're running this tillage, if we make one pass at an angle and then come back and make our final pass with the field, you reduce that amount of compaction. You're not driving over the same spot over and over and over again, and you're taking out the variability of the discs, with their swale and hump, depending on, really anything could cause them to swale or hump. Changing soil types from sandy to this heavier black soil, the amount of residue, how hard the ground is, all of that can play into a factor where it might swale here and then go right down the other end of the field and it's leaving a hump. It's just something that you deal with tillage, that there really is no answer. I don't think there is any one perfect tillage piece of equipment. But if a company out there thinks they have the perfect piece of tillage equipment that doesn't do that, prove it. Bring it here to the farm. We'll try it out.
Every weekday from 3 to 6. Hi, I'm Jason, General Manager of Gov't on the Rocks. Invite your friends.
I was jamming out in here. It's dusty. There we go. I'm running back and forth over this area that, when Eugene was dipping the ditches, he piled everything up here along the ditch, and we've got to try to spread that out. Now, I've done some circles, but this doesn't really drag dirt like our old disc did. So the best I can hope for is try to spread it. So what I've done is I've got the discs tilted way forward. So that front gang is throwing a lot of dirt out, so throwing it out from the center to the outsides, and the back gang is way up in the air and not pulling much of that dirt back in. And it's doing a good job as far as dissipating the mound that was here, because we're doing soybeans in this field, and you've got to have a pretty level field for when you come through with the combine, because that cutter bar is only an inch off the ground. And if you have a lot of variations in the soil, there's the chance that you could gouge or push that cutter bar down into the dirt. So I'm just taking the time to run back and forth over this a few times and spread it out, and it's working pretty good. That is one benefit that these have definitely over the old discs, is the fact that I can adjust the fore and aft pitch of the disc right here from the cab, because doing this kind of stuff, it makes it just a whole lot easier. So if you take a look, raise the discs up here, you can see there's an indicator right there on the discs, and it says A, B, C, and what we're going to do, I'm going to rock the discs back, and you'll see them actually move. So now, as you can see, in this position, there's a lot of pressure on the back, and I have the front angled up, so it would be throwing more dirt to the center and not so much out. But we don't want that. I was just showing you how this works. So I'm going to go back down, and what I'm going to do, where I've just made a pass over this, or two passes, with it throwing a lot of dirt out, now we're going to go try to level it and just throw the normal amount, have the discs run over at level and see where we are. But you can see, especially with the sun setting, it casts a shadow, and you can kind of see our hump right here, and that's where all of that dirt was piled. So we're going to go ahead and run over this again, and run over it fast to try to throw and mix as much dirt as we can, and see if we can't level this up some. I think that'll work. Close enough for government work. Who are we kidding? Everybody there works. What was I saying? Before you get your panties in a wad, I used to work in government. So I got a vested interest. And everything I learned what to do was by watching government officials. And I just did the opposite. I've been very successful, so yeah, what's that say? Okay, now that we got a beautiful sunset, I'm going to show you something, and this is what I've been complaining about these Landolls from the get-go. One of my biggest concerns over their weight, how heavy they are. Hey, I'm trying to YouTube. That's where my neighbors just don't care about me. They just do whatever. You see how wet or how soft this is. I mean, it's extremely soft ground once worked up. Now, I want you to look at something. See the divots? here's a set, and here's a set. So you got 2 sets of furrows. 1 set of furrows there, 1 set of furrows there. Now, anybody guess what is causing those furrows? I'll show you. There's 2 wheels there and 2 wheels there. This is my concern about these, is that they are so heavy on such a narrow tire that when you get in soft ground, especially muddy conditions, but this isn't muddy. I mean, this is honestly, this is perfect. This soil is perfect right now. There's a lot of good things about these. Like I said, hard ground, this is your disc. It's gonna penetrate. But if you're working soft ground for a good seed bed, yes, it leaves a good seed bed. It just doesn't fill in its own wheel tracks, and that bothers me. Look at that sunset. Home sweet home. So, what is it you did today?
I broke a board with my part of my hand. I broke a board with my knee, and I broke a board with a hammer fist.
The hammer fist. All right, so you going to break that one for us?
Yeah, but I need you to hold it out like that.
All right.
You'll be so proud of me. Hey, Dad.
I already am proud of you,
what?
buddy.
I broke those boards so then you and me, we can build a birdhouse tomorrow.
With the broken boards? Okay, that works. Hey, that's using scrap wood. I like that. I taught him well.
I'm using a scrap board.
That's right. Hey, and right now that piece of wood you're holding is probably like, I don't know, $30. Like if you had a stack of those, we could probably retire, be millionaires in like the Caribbean or something. Yeah. Guys, thank you all for watching. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do, because, you know, it'll make him sad and he'll start breaking things as we're hearing.
Goodbye from Delmarva, Shorebilly Farmer, out.
What he said. I better not get crapped on. Get off my lawn. They're not listening. I don't have any French fries. For those of you from around here, you know, you get the reference.